In 2001, Portland, Oregon shocked the US transit scene by opening a streetcar. Not a light rail, not a heritage ride for tourists, but a genuine modern streetcar for regular urban riders, the first new system of its kind since the Second World War. Seattle followed in 2007 with the South Lake Union streetcar. Then, an explosion happened. From 2013 to 2018, modern streetcars sprang up in Salt Lake City, Tucson, Atlanta, Dallas, Charlotte, Kansas City, Cincinnati, Washington, D.C., Seattle again, Detroit, Oklahoma City, and Milwaukee. It seemed like everyone wanted in on Portland's success. And why did these streetcars pop up all at once? Millions and millions of federal dollars given by the Obama administration, which may or may not have been a terrible idea. If you use the term Obama-era streetcar around a transit buff, they'll know you're talking about one of these lines. Unlike legacy streetcars, such as Toronto's, or even Portland's modern 3-line system, which are basically like modern bus systems but on rails, Obama-era streetcars are typically only a few miles long, with little to no grade separation, and they usually exist within a city's downtown core. They're advertised as cheap, efficient, and capacious, attractive to people who don't normally use transit, and convenient for those who do. In theory, they're able to drive up foot traffic at local businesses and revitalize downtowns. And now that it's been several years since peak 2010's streetcar mania, nobody can agree on whether or not they were a good idea. Of course you have your NIMBYs who think they're a terrible waste of money.
I think it's time that the American people start to look at these projects and say, you know, we don't need this, we don't need the expense, and it's time for the government to defund these.
But even transit advocates aren't universally on board with modern streetcars. They point to Washington, D.C.'s streetcar, which runs over a short distance down 1 or 2 streets and parallels much more useful bus routes. They bring up the Atlanta streetcar, a single-direction loop with cars routinely stuck in traffic. Rather than pouring money into streetcars, opponents say, wouldn't it have been better to use that money for better roads, improved bus service, safe bike lanes, and grade-separated rail lines like light rail or subways? Perhaps they have a point. But if you're really going to dismiss the modern streetcar as legitimate transit, perhaps it's best to look at the cases where it actually kinda worked. And on my Amtrak Rail Pass adventure in 2021, I accidentally did just that. This is Tucson, Arizona. Home to an urban population of about 500,000 people, Tucson was a refueling stop on the Amtrak Sunset Limited, one of the trains I rode on my rail pass. While our diesels were having a drink at the station, I discovered Tucson had a modern streetcar system called Sunlink. Yes, I know I'm a transit guy, but there had been so many streetcars open in the last decade that I'd lost track of who had one. I ended up liking Sunlink so much that I went back to ride it just a few days later after a trip to Saguaro National Park.
We're going to look at some cactuses.
Cacti.
Tucson was the second city to open a new streetcar system during the Obama years. Granted, the city had been planning a streetcar since 2006, when Prima County voters approved its construction, but it wasn't until a 2010 grant from the Obama administration that they were able to complete the line. Sunlink began operation in 2014, using modified versions of Portland streetcars with boosted air conditioning, running on a 3.6-mile track across the city. In just those 3.6 miles, cars service the Arizona Health Sciences Center, the University of Arizona's main campus, the Main Gate and 4th Avenue shopping and entertainment districts, downtown Tucson, the city's convention center, and the Mercado district. People live, work, study, and shop all along this line, creating all kinds of journey combinations. I was amazed by how many different places I passed in such a short distance. Cars were frequent and seldom held up in traffic, despite there being an imminent fireworks show, it being the 4th of July. Indeed, Tucsonites were encouraged to ditch their cars and take Sunlink to an ideal viewing site, grabbing a bite to eat or a few drinks along the way. I used Sunlink to visit a University of Arizona parking garage, where I caught most of the fireworks show before my Flixbus to California. Obviously, Sunlink isn't perfect. It runs in mixed traffic a lot of the time, which as we saw in Phoenix can slow down a system, especially without dedicated lanes. It's also probably not going to be expanded anytime soon. Tucson is planning BRT for that instead, but for what it is, it punches well above its weight. I thought that would be the only Obama-era streetcar I would ride on my Amtrak Rail Pass adventure. I'd already ignored Dallas's line when I was there, but certain events would prove otherwise. My return train to the east was the Southwest Chief, and when we reached Kansas City on day 3, we were told that we would be there for an unexpected 6 hours. And wouldn't you know it, they had a streetcar as well. But before we take a look, I'd like to shout out my Patreon community. Normally it's a very warm place, but this week it's a bit chilly, or should I say, Chile. Yes, when I was a kid I visited Chile with my family and we got to ride the Santiago Metro. I found all the footage I could from that adventure and compiled it into a bonus video for my loyal followers, and you can be one today to help fund my Europe series that I'm shooting next month. Anyways, Kansas City is the largest city in Missouri, with an urban population roughly equivalent to Tucson at 500,000 people. They also have a suburb called Kansas City, Kansas, with a street called State Line Road running right down the middle of the border.
Missouri! Kansas!
In 2016, they opened the 2.2-mile KC Streetcar, serving River Market, the Central Business District, the Crossroads Art District, and Union Station. Cars are CAF Urbos 3 vehicles, very similar to the ones I rode on Malaga's underground tramway, and they're all wrapped to celebrate different aspects of Kansas City, without dots, thank goodness. Stations are about every 2 blocks, and automated announcements call out connections, including with bike sharing, the only time I've ever heard this done.
Connections to IKC, bus services, and bike share.
Cars pass close to the city's convention center and basketball arena, along with numerous shopping and dining establishments. Oh, and did I mention it's completely free? Yeah, there's no ticketing or fare system at all, and KC is not resting on its laurels. Next year, they're planning on expanding the line in both directions, with cars heading north to Riverfront Drive and south to the University of Missouri, Kansas City. The line's total length, when complete, will be 6.43 miles, making it the second longest streetcar to open during the Obama years. So, do these successful systems vindicate the streetcar explosion of the 2010s? Well, sorta. See, there aren't that many advantages to running a streetcar in the 21st century. Streetcars are more efficient and environmentally friendly than buses since they're not powered by diesel engines, but you can run buses on electricity as well, whether from batteries or overhead wires, and you don't have to lay out rails for them. Streetcars have low-floor access for wheelchair users, but they make buses like that now too. Buses and streetcars run at the same speeds in mixed traffic, and buses are cheaper vehicles that can navigate around obstacles in a way that a streetcar just can't. No, there are really only 2 reasons to build a downtown streetcar in the 21st century. The first is capacity. Tucson streetcars can hold about 150 passengers both seated and standing, more so than an articulated bus, so wherever they run they need to justify something like that capacity at peak periods. The only way to get that many people on board is to have cars serve dense areas of a city, where people already want to make a lot of short trips. Tucson and Kansas City both did that, becoming the only standalone streetcars from the 2010s to score more than 1 million riders in 2023. And honestly, I think having lots of different types of destinations in one short corridor is key to streetcar success. Compare Sunlink's variety of schools, businesses, and shopping districts, with DC's streetcar that serves one gentrified area full of Whole Foods and the like, and you won't be surprised that Sunlink has much higher ridership. Indeed, it might be time we retire the trope of build a streetcar in an up-and-coming neighborhood to bring foot traffic. It hasn't really played out very well. Just take a look at Seattle, who shut down the South Lake Union Line this summer due to an equipment failure, only for urbanists to actively push for its permanent demise. If you're going to run 150 passenger vehicles on 10-minute frequencies, you're going to need to plan a route that could reasonably carry up to 1,500 people every hour, and there really aren't a lot of 3-mile routes in the country that justify that. But even then, capacity isn't everything. If you just ran more buses, this of course being contingent on your ability to hire drivers, you'd still be able to move all those people, and you could take them a lot further without having to build more tracks. No, I think the second key to streetcar success is just that people like streetcars. It's that simple. A fixed route system with good ride quality is going to be more intuitive for a regular transit rider, and a cute little train is going to be more enticing to your suburban commuter going out for tacos after work. I think one of the Obama-era streetcars' biggest assets is simply their appeal. Put them somewhere useful, and they'll stand out and draw ridership. The more people are on them, the less traffic you have downtown. Win-win. For all the arguments that streetcar proponents make, I don't think anything as compelling as this. These things are just cool. People generally enjoy them. I don't have any data to back this up, but I think that the psychological factors of any transit mode should absolutely go into the planning process and the decision making behind its budget. But does all that justify spending millions of federal dollars to build streetcars? I can see the arguments on both sides, honestly. What do you guys think? Were Obama's best streetcars actually worth it, or were they still a waste of money? Would you build a streetcar in your city if you don't have one yet? And do you use one if you do? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video.